So yeah, is there any talk about what they're being expected to do and what they do ordinarily in the community, in the home, or anything? So this might be the last thing for now. Okay. I mean, not officially or regularly, but I'll always be like, I know you might speak this way at home, but in an academic setting, or if you're interviewing for a job, or if you're applying to college, and if you talk to someone like that, they will not even give you the time of day. Do they ever ask why? Yeah, they're just like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. That's just the way it is. You have to learn how to play the game, guys. I'm sorry. Right. And I can see that being such an inadequate answer. Right, and I don't know how to provide that. Yeah. Okay. It's a good point to stop, because what's happening here, and we had a lot of fun, right? We're looking at this and we laughed at and we kind of, poking fun at the teacher, but that's not really the point of, why we're sharing the dialogue. It's funny and it is entertaining in some ways, but what I really hope that we kind of think about here is that in some ways we are all this teacher, okay? Like, now that's what happens, right? I'm going to say like every third word now too. But the idea, the theoretical and abstract idea, is this idea of language ideologies and how we're all swimming in them and how we all have them, whether we think we do or not. We have these ideologies of language and other people's language. I have them. Marjorie has them. Everyone in here has them. And so the idea of working with teachers on this is to figure out what is it exactly that we think about the language that's coming out of our students' mouths. And when we have multilingual and multilectal populations like we do in LA, like we do in the Bay, how do we see populations differently based on the lens that our ideological lens that we view particular populations, right? Language is not going to be separate from how we see particular populations. We're going to interpret their language through the lens of how we understand the social structure, the hierarchy, and our particular relations. So, okay, so I won't go too much more into that, but I do want to start with the teacher to see what it is that, the teacher actually thinks about students and their language. And then I conducted a series of experiments, linguistic experiments. This is more complicated than it needs to be, so I will show you this is just going a little crazy with the slides. But basically, in this particular experiment, I'm just going to show you the one piece of data, and then I'll stop, I promise, is you have one speaker, take myself, for example, okay? And you have 8 people, okay? So take any 8 audience members, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? We're a little skewed on the gender thing, but that's okay. What's going on here, right? We have 8 women. Okay, so in the experiment, I try to actually vary gender, race, and in particular hip-hop cultural literacy or knowledge of hip-hop culture and ways of speaking across these 8 people that I'm speaking to. So I'll be speaking to you, I'll be speaking to you, to you, to you, to you, and I'll record all of the conversations, and then I'll see how my language varies based on who I'm speaking to. Okay, so what my stylistic range or my repertoire actually is, okay, based on the linguistic features that come out of my mouth when I'm talking to 8 different people. And so I take my students and have them do these conversations about different things and record their language to figure out what is it that students can actually do, okay? So we have what teachers think about what students can actually do. What is it that they actually do in practice? Okay, so we find that the style, students' speech style, actually shifts across these categories of race, gender, and hip-hop cultural literacy in pretty significant ways. Okay, so on the axis over here that's going vertically, okay, you see the level of black language features being used. And they're much higher, okay, when students are talking to people who are actually, speakers of black language, who are black, who are male, and who have knowledge of hip-hop culture. And talking, in particular ways, and much less with other students and teachers who are white, who are women, and who do not have knowledge of hip-hop culture. So this is not to put people in categories and boxes, but for the sake of experimentation, you can actually see statistically that people line up their language varieties directly at their audiences. And this is what this is based on. This is based on, and I will show you one little slide from Word, and this is going to work because I prayed this morning. And there it is. Okay? So this is Bilal, a student, and in his conversations across 8 different people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And his peer group, the last notch over here, you see how he shifts things stylistically. Let me tell you what's going on. So, okay, an example of this. I'm measuring black language, use of black language here. You may ask, well, how are you measuring use of black language? What counts as black language, right? There's a whole literature and body on the black linguistic system. One of the major features is the copula. So, for example, in the classroom the other day, this one I'm sure you all have heard, where someone was talking out of turn, making some noise, and I'm looking at them. He making me laugh, right? I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times because it's him, it's not me, right? He making me laugh, right? So he making me laugh, right? Could be said, he is making me laugh, he's making me laugh, or he making me laugh. There's 3 different ways to say the same thing, okay? They're not the same thing socially encoded, right? These actually mean very different things. But if we were just looking syntactically, right, there's 3 different ways to construct that sentence. So the 0 copula, he making me laugh, is one of the sort of showcase features of black language. So I'm measuring here just the copula in all these conversations, okay, to get at black stylistic language use. So you can see the range is enormous, okay? It's from 0 to about 90, okay, % use of black language features. So in an interesting way, when Bilal is talking to, so I should explain, the white, female, non-hip-hop, person, his interlocutor, for example, a black male hip-hopper. So when Bilal is talking across these different people, you can see he uses very few of the he making me laugh kinds of constructions, okay? 0 to be exact, okay? Over a 40-minute conversation, okay? Talking to a black male hip-hopper, okay, he uses about 80%, and talking with a group of peers, all black mixed gender peers, his friendship group, he's using predominantly the 0 form, okay? And so students are doing these very kind of remarkable shifts, and they step upwise with the knowledge of hip-hop culture, with the effect of male or female, and a very interesting thing here is that with a white male hip-hopper, you get more production of black language use, okay? So they're very sensitive to not just the race, not just the gender, but your knowledge of popular cultural forms and hip-hop culture in particular. So I'm going to stop there just to say that students do these kinds of things. There's much more that they do that we'll talk about in the workshop, and I've developed a pedagogy around their repertoires, presenting different ways to teach these kinds of language skills to students. So I'm going to stop there. I'm over time, but thank you.